Asian financial crisis first started in summer 1997 and was quickly widespread all around Asia, especially East Asian and Southeast Asian countries. It began with the devaluation of Thai baht as it was no longer paid to the US dollar, which causes failure in the currency market. It then caused several after effects such as the decline of stock market, reduced import revenues and causing government upheavals. In Indonesia, it resulted in rise of prices. Due to the crisis, various national epidemics emerged, such as high unemployment and high inflation. The impact of the crisis was holistic, ranging from the banking sector to the social sector of the community. Inflation was the most significant effect of the crisis. In the case of Thailand, transfer of ownership in various sectors such as real estate, from the domestic company to the foreign company was identified as one of the main factors that caused heavy investment and speculation that led to the financial downturn. Unemployment hit the highest number in Thailand's history at an approximation of around 2 million people lost their job, and it led to suicide cases in all over Thailand. However, with a strong commitment from the new government and the implementation of macroeconomic policy, Thailand gradually recovered from their economy downturn. The economic status before and after crisis. Before the financial crisis, Thailand was the country with the highest GDP growth in the world. According to the World Bank, from 1985 to 1995, Thailand has the highest GDP growth rate in the world. However, Thailand had public debts. The country was in a state of bankruptcy prior to the collapse of its currency. When the crisis expanded outside the country, the monetary value of most Southeast Asian and Japanese currency had collapsed as well. The stock exchange of Thailand includes other assets prices and this causes increases in private debt. In 1996, the weakening of the Thai economy was starting with the IMF warned by saying that the floating exchange rate policy will help Thailand survive the financial crisis. On the other hand, Thailand is not interested in warning and goes ahead with the same policy. On June 2, 1997, the financial crisis spread to other countries in the region before spilling over into Latin America, Russia, and Eastern Europe. The government called the meeting of the bank executive and said that they would flood the baht. This catastrophe had started since that day. The economy has fallen sharply after the baht floated. The situation then influenced the resignation of the Prime Minister Khalid in 4 months. Before the financial crisis, Indonesia experienced economic structural transformation in 1980s and 1990s, from agriculture to manufacturing and service due to the decline of oil price. At that time, Indonesia was focusing on multiple industries such as tobacco, food, and textile manufacturing. In the financial crisis 1997, following the collapse of Thai baht, the economic situation in Indonesia was not immediately affected, but after a few months, the economy was struggling because of the depreciation of rupiah. Foreign and domestic investors were selling their shares of Indonesian companies. The government tried to handle the situation by letting the rupiah float freely. In addition, Indonesia had a lot of debt, so it caused them to be vulnerable and unable to pay back the foreign debt. The factors contributed to the crisis. The crisis occurred to the decision of the government of PM Khalid Yongchayut to the float of Thai baht rate against the US dollar in July 1997. The crisis will also proceed by an attitude of indifference to the various symptoms of the economic crisis that has occurred since 1997. Then, the existence of economic and political crisis caused fundamental changes. The inability of the government in power to take various steps to overcome the economic crisis further increased the demands of various levels of society for a coalition government of Prime Minister Kavalit to resign, as well as Thailand to declare an inability to repay its foreign debt. On the other hand, the monetary crisis that hit Indonesia caused a collapse in economic activity because more and more companies were closed down and the number of unemployed workers were increasing. Also to be noted that the cause of this crisis was not only because of Indonesia's weak economy, but also because of foreign private debt that had reached a large amount.
Indonesia and Thailand have very different approaches in order to escape from the crisis. In Indonesia, the crisis has been deeper than other countries in Asia, such as Thailand. Indonesia's recovery progress was very slow due to too many problems in the region of the country. To begin with, the need for recapitalization of banks and credit companies, as well as repairing the balance sheet in countries due to the banking sector failures, that is high level of non-performing loans. Thailand closed 56 of its 91 finance companies between June and August 1997. The Thai government established the Financial Sector Restructuring Authority, or FRA, and an Asset Management Corporation, or AMC, in October 1997 to manage and sell the financial sector's non-performing assets. In order to facilitate such recapitalization, the FRA proceeded to liquidate the assets it took over from the 56 closed finance companies by selling them in auctions to both foreign and local buyers. Next, the government established strong regulations for banks and other financial institutions to reform the financial system, including the Financial Institutions Law, which would standardize the regulatory framework for the financial sector, and the Central Bank Act, which would strengthen the operation of the central bank. The FRA offered each such suspended company one of four options. First, to recapitalize, or by raising capital from its own sources, or by engaging new outside partners. 2. To merge with another viable domestic institution whose operation were not suspended. 3. To merge with a commercial bank. 4. To merge with another suspended company. Indonesia's government, on the other hand, also introduced a variety of reforms, some of them similar to Thailand's, but have various factors like the political difficulty of the country. The Asset Management Corporation, or AMC, has been established in Indonesia, known as the Indonesian Banking Restructuring Agency, or IBRA. Banking recapitalization and restructuration did not proceed smoothly. In regard to the speed of recovery after the crisis, Indonesia is considered as the slowest among all Southeast Asian countries, while Thailand is at a moderate pace. Tight money policy of Bank of Indonesia had a very huge impact and created financial instability and bankruptcy. In such an unstable financial condition, the government's policy response was to close 16 small banks in November 1997 and another 7 in April 1998 upon IMF advice. The central bank also announced tighter bank regulations with the intention of reducing the bank's foreign exchange and credit risks. This included lowering the allowed net foreign exchange, cutting the legal lending limit to related companies, and reducing the legal lending limit to non-related groups for over 4 years. 65 banks were eventually closed out of 237 banks. 13 were nationalized, 7 private banks were recapitalized, and the 7 state banks had to be merged into 4. As explained in all previous parts of the papers, Thailand actually succeeded because it already has a stable and firm government, which has been through so many kinds of ups and downs and ready to face many more challenges in the future. Thus, not so long after it turned into IMF, it started recovering in moderate pace after following all obligatory sets of rules and regulations given by the IMF, including restructuration and recapitalization in its economic and financial sector, whereas Indonesia succeeded in a much slower pace. It was due to the yet to stable government, domestic conflicts, and huge foreign debts. In fact, Indonesia has the most foreign debt in the world at that time. But Indonesia recovered from the crisis after following all the conditions given by the IMF, such as liberalization of banking sectors. Later, Indonesia decided to pursue its own way of applying expansionary fiscal policy in order to make the economy expand. The similarity between the two approaches is that both Indonesia and Thailand followed the rules and regulations set by the IMF right after they turned into the IMF for aid. While the difference is, Indonesia started pursuing its own way not so long after its economy started to recover. Indonesia started applying expansionary fiscal policy to keep the economy running in a faster pace.